Welcome to Read, Watch, Play, your dive into the stories we love and how they're adapted. We are coming to you live from the Mushroom Kingdom this week in episode 17, and we are covering the Super Mario Bros. Movie. My name is Randy Berridge. I'm here with my favorite Goomba, Nick Hinkson. Here we go. How's it going, buddy?
It was going pretty well till I was called a Goomba, so I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Just a little henchman walking around.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Doing your dirty work?
Yeah. I mean, couldn't be further from the truth, as Goomba had the shortest legs in video game history, and you're like 6'7". Yeah. There's not a lot of tall minions. I guess that's why they're called minions. No. You got to be pretty tiny.
Is that why they're called minions, Randy?
I don't know. Well, it just sounds miniature. Right? I don't know.
We can go with it.
Yeah, do you know the etymology of minion? I don't know.
No, but I can find it, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't have anything to do with height.
With the height? Probably. How you doing?
Just pumped, man. We got a couple good episodes coming out, and this one is a nice little lighthearted one, so I think it's going to be a fun conversation today.
Yeah. As we're entering summer, we've scheduled to do some that are a little bit more summer blockbustery, that are just kind of fun, easy movies. Not only does it like coincide with the summertime, but it also is a little easier to prep for us as things get busy. This might have been the easiest prep that not only we have to do, but probably any listener. If you've held a video game controller in your hand, you're pretty much prepared for this episode if you've seen the movie.
Yeah, and to be honest, this movie, I hadn't seen it before like last week.
Really?
Yeah, I was shocked, but I completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
I didn't go see it in theaters, so.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about, a lot of people did. This movie made a boatload of money. But before we talk too much about it, we'll quick hit some of the housekeeping stuff. This podcast, if you're new here, cover adaptations. We're going to run through thoughts on the Mario game franchise before weaving into the movie. This is the 2023 movie, not the 1993, though we might make a few references to it. But honestly, that movie's like impossible to find. Last episode, we covered, what was last episode? Queen's Gambit. Yeah, it was the last one we recorded. But I think when this releases, the last episode will be our coverage of House of the Dragon Season 1. But you can see our archives. We've covered a lot of stuff. Jurassic Park, Shining, Dune, Last of Us. We come every other Tuesday. Nick, if people want to follow what we're up to, where can they check us out?
Yeah, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever they get their podcasts. You can find us on Instagram at Read, Watch, Play Podcast. That is where you'll find information about upcoming episodes, what's released. That's where you're most likely to get in touch with us. So if you have any questions or comments, write them there. Unless they're bad, then you can find us at Gmail at readwatchplaypod@gmail.com. And we will most certainly pretend that we will get back to you if you leave us a negative review.
Yeah. And big note on spoilers this week. If you don't want to know that Bowser attempts to take over the Mushroom Kingdom, leave now. Just get out.
Dude, spoiler alert.
Yeah. What is your
first... say spoiler alert before you say before the spoiler. Red.
Yeah, so just ruin the movie for everyone. What is your first memory of Super Mario?
Dude, N64. I think for everyone our age, the kind of younger to mid-millennial crowd, N64 was our first experience, because I might be misremembering, but I think like Super Mario and Mario Kart both came out like very quickly after the release of the console, and that's what we grew up playing.
Yeah. I mean, Mario 64 was packaged with the N64. When consoles used to do that, you got a game with the console. Doesn't really happen that way anymore, unless you're buying a bundle. Yeah, mine, I had told this on a previous episode, but we cut it out for time. My first memory of it was we had a neighbor across the street who had a NES, Nintendo, the original one, and a Sega, and my dad and I were over there one time. I was probably like 4. This was like maybe 90, 95 maybe. And to keep me occupied, he was letting me play the original Super Mario on his NES, and I was just having a blast. And it felt like the next day. Could have been the next day or a year later. I have no idea, because idiot kid brain. My parents told me to go into my closet, and I opened it up, and in there was his NES and all of his games, and his Sega Genesis and all of his games with the Duck Hunt controller, everything. So pre N64 release, I had that, and I also had older cousins, or I think you're the oldest, like in your family.
Second oldest.
Second oldest, yeah. So I had
by 6 months.
But yeah, so not that much. But yeah, I had a cousin. My oldest cousin is 4 years older than me, and she had Super Mario, and we used to play at her house at Christmas. So that was my first experience, but I never had a Super Nintendo. I was, after the NES, I was a Genesis kid. I was a Sega kid, and until the N64 came out. And then I converted over the N64 because it felt like everybody had the N64. But yeah, so were you always Nintendo in your childhood?
I have to redact my earlier comment. You talking about the like Super Nintendo. My grandmom had one.
Yeah.
And I used to do that. And I completely forgot about that until you said it. But she's also the one that gave me the N64.
Yeah. Grandma just coming up big.
She came up huge. But yeah, so that was actually my first experience. And you just asked me a question, and I completely forgot what you just asked me.
No, that's all right. I mean, I feel like that's the way it happened. Was the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo were so culturally significant that grandmoms owned them or like knew to buy them. Like, that's just how pervasive that was in the 90s. I mean, gaming culture is huge now as well, but Nintendo was just like, it was hard to describe how massive it was, and how, I mean, I think most parents today still call every console a Nintendo. It's like the Kleenex brand of gaming consoles. But yeah, then we moved into the N64. We both had that, I know. Mm-hmm. Do you still own a Nintendo console?
Yeah, it's in the room behind me. It still works.
The 64?
Yeah, N64.
Did you have anything after the 64? Have you gotten a Switch? Did you get a GameCube? I don't think you had a GameCube. We were PS2 kids.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting if you think about the console wars. Nintendo clearly was the first to market, best to market in the beginning, but after the N64, I feel like they just lost. Like,
yeah, until the
Switch. GameCube. Well, you had your Game Boys too, and those still did well, all those versions. But in terms of the like sit down in front of the TV consoles, they got hammered by PlayStation and Xbox. So Sony and Microsoft. But
it was a weird time for them, at least. And I don't know, I'm not a gaming historian, but it's like, I think something that Nintendo is known for is always trying to innovate. And while PlayStation and Xbox are doing kind of their own thing and competing very hard, Nintendo is always doing a little bit of their own thing. A lot of their consoles have like a gimmick to them, especially starting with like the Wii, where the Wii was huge. Like you said, the GameCube, people really love the GameCube. I didn't have a GameCube, but PlayStation 2 is the best selling console of all time. Switch is coming up on it. Could overtake it soon.
Really?
Yeah. I think COVID had a lot to do with that. Everyone was getting Nintendo Switches then. But also it is a great console. But the Wii, and then there was a follow-up to the Wii, which I'll be honest, like I gave a lot, but there was a Wii U, and I had never even heard of this. That there was a sequel to the Wii in terms of a console that just fell so flat. And then they really rebounded with the Switch. But yeah, like you said, the console wars in the 90s were huge between the Genesis and the Super Nintendo and
Sega.
Yeah.
Sega's the Genesis.
Yeah.
And then there was that other, what was that third one? There was like a third brand that wasn't.
At that time, I don't think so.
There?
I mean, in the 80s there was, or 70s and 80s, there was the Atari for sure, but there was the Saturn, which was also Sega, which was their follow-up to the Genesis. But But I think the Genesis really rattled the Super Nintendo, or just Nintendo as a whole, and paved the way for things like PlayStation and Xbox to come out and compete with Nintendo. I mean, and Nintendo's kind of come full circle where they're doing extremely well these days. And weirdly, Xbox has been going through a lot of issues on their end. But yeah, it's been strange times. What is you talked about, your first playing of the Mario franchise, your grandma was having the N64. Do you have like a lot of love for the Mario franchise? Was it important? Was it just something that was, there and everyone had it, so you played it? Like, when you think of the Mario franchise, like what kind of does that mean to you?
It's a good question. I think that really it just holds a nostalgic place for me at this point. I don't think it was something I loved. I liked it.
Yeah.
And I liked that I could play with people, especially when you're talking about Mario Kart and some of the others. I really enjoyed the I'll call it the co-op part of that game. But I don't know that I even sat down to beat Super Mario on N64. Like, I don't think I had the drive to just get through all of it. I played it because it was fun, but then when I found something else fun, I moved on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a huge piece of the N64 at the time was it had 4 controller ports, which was massive. And
it's a game changer.
The first time you could have like a sleepover and more than 2 people could be playing at a time was it was life-changing. Like, that's what spawned like the nights of Mario Kart and GoldenEye, when Perfect Dark came out. Perfect Dark. It's just like endless fun where everyone can be playing at the same time, which, I mean, it was only 2 more, but it felt like such a massive improvement, which it was.
Have you gone back and played any of the old games?
Yeah,
recently.
We have, so on Nintendo Switch, they have Switch Online, which you can pay your yearly fee or whatever, and you get access to like a lot of the retro collections. So we have played the OG Super Mario up through Super Mario World. So we played 1, 2, 3 Lost Levels in Super Mario World, probably within the past year and a half. Honestly, we were playing it when we were having the hurricane. we were playing it here because I don't know, there wasn't much else to do. But yeah, it's been some time since I've hooked up my Nintendo, like my OG Nintendo or my Super Nintendo, and played on there. But we've played them pretty recently.
Did you feel like the graphics in Super Mario and Mario Kart and all of the Nintendo games were just miles ahead of all the other studios that were making games at the time? Because that's the memory I have, is if you go back and play Super Mario, you're running and it feels like you can watch your character run and it's smooth. But then you play Perfect Dark and everything looks like a box.
Yeah. I think what it is the controls typically on a Mario game are so tight and so dialed in and responsive. And I think that's even something they have today, where, especially with a platforming type game, like, for that to feel good and feel like you can get better at it, and it has to feel responsive. And I think Mario has done that really well. And they probably put so much time into making this game. But yeah, I mean, you go back and you play a Perfect Dark or a GoldenEye, and kind of looks like shit.
And at the time, we didn't think anything of it, the 90s. But
yeah, I mean, and I think that is a little bit to our age, where I've listened to some retro gaming podcasts of people who are maybe 5 to 10 years older than us, and they really struggled with the N64 and 3D and the change, and even thought then that the games looked bad and the controller was hard to use. But for us, we were so young that that I feel so comfortable with that controller. Like, there's zero issues.
That's all we know.
Yeah. Like, I never even thought twice that, why are there 3 prongs when I have 2 hands? That makes no sense. Like, how am I supposed to hold all of this?
You hold the middle one and you hold the right one.
Yeah. So I got to know, I mean, Mario Kart, huge aspect of childhood, huge aspect of life. Who was your kart racer?
Ooh, definitely loved some Toad.
Yeah.
You know, Toad was the fastest for sure. Toad and Peach. Everybody knows it. You don't want Donkey Kong. You don't want Bowser. They're just heavy. They weigh down the cart.
Yeah. Something about, I have a lot of animosity towards Toad because you get into these rivalries in Mario Kart, especially when, we played in like college with roommates where like you play a lot with each other. And man, the people who use Toad just used to drive me nuts because Toad was so fast.
So fast.
Wasn't until this movie that I really came around on Toad and started to like him again because I just had so much built up resentment over the years. Yeah, I was a Wario guy. Have always
Is
been.
Toad actually any faster than any of the are any of the characters actually faster? I don't know if I think it's genuinely true, but people felt that, which made it true.
I don't know if their peak speeds changes. I'm sure people know this. What I do know is for sure in Mario Kart 64 was the weight of the carts was different. So like as a Wario, I could ram a Toad and knock you off course, where like a Toad isn't going to ram a Wario off course. And I think your agility or acceleration maybe is the right word, as Toad is a little bit better, where like if the countdown starts for the race as Wario and I miss the boost you get at the beginning, everyone's doing a lap before I even get out of the gate because he's just so slow on the acceleration. But yeah, I think Toad, I don't know if the top speeds were different, but I think you accelerated a little faster.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What do you think makes, the original Mario came out in 1985. And I think there was an arcade game before that a couple of years prior, but most people think of Super Mario Bros. Starting with the Nintendo one in the 80s. It's 2024. We're recording this, coming up on 40 years?
Yeah.
And like Mario, the Mario Kart 8, massive selling game, one of the highest selling games of the past couple of years. Nintendo Switch has gone crazy in sales. Like what do you think makes the Mario franchise so enduring?
I think it's a combination of, there's always going to be that nostalgia with Mario because it's such a easy game to let children play. You don't have to worry about anything, right? Yeah. So you get that nostalgia when everybody grows up, but you also have these games aging with us almost. And not in terms of the content, but the way we play the game changes, right? So like you play Mario Kart at your first sleepover, right? And you're just playing Mario Kart to play Mario Kart and trying to figure out the blue shell versus the red shell.
Yeah.
At 7 years old. But then you play it in college and you're slugging beers in each lap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just having a completely different experience with the same game. And I think because people have found ways to play those games in more of an adult setting and it's super child safe, so everyone feels comfortable. Oh my God, you got to play this Mario game.
Yeah.
It just keeps generation after generation. It's going to just keep getting played. The old ones, the new ones, the new systems, the old systems. It's just going to keep going around in a circle.
Yeah. I'd wager I've spent more hours playing Mario Kart 64 than maybe any video game ever. Like I've just played it in every decade of my life.
I believe that.
Like
I believe that.
Yeah. To your point, like we was at a bachelor party last year. Somebody brought Nintendo and we were playing Mario Kart. And it's like the fact that like we could do that 20 years after, release of Mario Kart 64.
25.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. 25 years. Oh my God. Yeah. Even more. Yeah. It's just, for some reason, it's so enduring. And I think what you said at the beginning about it like being, I think you used the word safe or easy for kids to pick up. I think what made it so successful and while it's so fun is it felt like the game where anybody could just grab the controller and I'm still going to wipe the floor with them in Mario Kart if they've never played. But say they pick up and they're playing Super Mario Bros. Like they can figure out very quickly how to jump. Like, oh, I want to avoid these guys with the grimaces on their face who look like little brown mushrooms. Like it's so intuitive where like you instantly understand what you have to do. And to your point, your grandma having Super Nintendo, like probably for you all to play. Like it's something she could pick up the controller and, she can get around. She knows what, she can hit a block. And I think that
Yeah.
is what makes it made it so pervasive across families of all ages that, it just makes us all get the warm fuzzies inside when we think about it.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. And I think if we did this podcast in 10 years, we would say the same thing.
Probably. In terms of video game franchises, this is the number one selling video game franchise of all time, 879 million copies. You have an idea, unless you already saw the notes, of what the other four are in the top five?
Call of Duty.
Yep.
Skyrim.
Nope.
Is it one of those types of games like The Witcher, Skyrim, Fallout, like a MMO? Not even an MMO, like a massive open world type game?
One of the franchises is an open world.
Just quickly scrolling through the notes, looking for the answer. No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, that makes sense.
Behind Mario, the Mario franchise is Tetris, Pokemon, then Call of Duty and GTA. But 879 million copies. It's a lot of dough that they have printed.
Yeah.
For Mario. As we kind of moved into the movie, this is different from The Last of Us, where there's a specific story track, or different from, even Fallout, where they're kind of pulling threads from different stories. I mean, in the Mario games, if you're somehow not aware, he's a plumber who, along with his brother, has to occasionally save the Mushroom Kingdom, rescuing Princess Peach from Bowser. I said every so often they have a ceasefire and they decide to go kart racing together, or play tennis, or, host parties where they play board games collecting stars. But it's not like an intuitive plot to convert into a movie. And they tried and failed in 93, or failed to some people. I think critically and, box office wise, they failed. What do you think that they had to do to make this movie work and be successful?
I think it had to do two things. One, it needed to be family fun, like one of those animated movies that kids will love, but also the jokes are kind of geared towards the adults, so that they're still laughing with the kids for very different reasons.
Pixar formula. Yeah.
Exactly. And it needs to, I guess, like remind you of happier times.
Yeah.
Like you need to feel warm and nostalgic and forget about, the crippling fear of death and financial instability that goes along with being an adult these days.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
those are my two keys to the adaptation.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definition of a popcorn movie. Like,
oh yeah,
you're not walking out of this questioning any large ideas. you just had a good time. I mean, you're so right. I mean, not only do the best anime movies appeal to kids and the parents who have to take them, but this is like secretly needs to appeal most to the parents in a way, because everyone from the age of 25 to 50 probably grew up playing some variation of Mario who's taking their kid to see this. So they're probably bigger fans than their kids are. So you really need to hit both of those. And yeah, this is the type of movie where it's like, I don't like this phrase, but it's like, you just play the hits. Like, just get out there, give us what we want. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. Like, we just want to have a good time. We want to see Mario and Luigi fighting Bowser, and I'm probably gonna have a great time at the movies if I do that. So if you do that, I feel like that's a win.
I mean, when you've only had one movie that floundered, but you have 30 years of IP, why would you not just pull the things that everybody loved?
Yeah. I mean, so true. And it's almost shocking to think that someone, or a company that is so, their value is so derived from their intellectual property, like Nintendo, and they are so protective of it, that they really have shied away from doing anything movie wise. I remember like in the 90s, they had a TV show, like the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. But movie wise, like they've steered well clear of this since then. Is this, in terms of prepping for this movie, Super Mario Bros. Playing the games, do you think this is a must experience, prior to seeing it? Is this an experience if you like the movie? Or are you cold-hearted Voldemort over here and just say skip it?
I wouldn't say skip it, but I also don't know if it's a must experience to enjoy the movie. I think you can go into that movie having whatever vague notion of Mario you may have if you've never played the games and still understand everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And you'll recognize some of the references to the different games. But if you did enjoy it, or if you have young kids and they're starting to play video games and you want something that maybe you can do with them, then it's a must experience.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that's a benefit to the movie, is that even if you had no idea, and honestly, who has no idea who Mario and Luigi are, you're going to have a fun time with this movie. I think if the question was like, should someone play a Mario game? I think it's almost like a cultural experience that you have to have. Like everyone at some point should just pick up a controller and play Mario.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You haven't lived if you haven't done that.
All right, you ready for some pew-pews?
Yeah.
Some rapid fires. Did you expect to like this movie going into it?
Without elaborating, which I've already started to do.
One word. Yes or no?
Yes.
If you were in this movie, what character would you be?
Ooh. A toad.
You're a toad, not the toad, just a toad.
That main toad has a lot of charisma. I think I'm just one of the toads. I'm maybe one of the guards where he, fries up some eggs for them and then lets them in. Yeah. That's probably me.
What character would I be?
Oof. You would definitely be someone in the Donkey Kong Coliseum. Probably, having a banana cheering on, probably Donkey Kong. I feel like you'd probably stand him over Mario in that fight. But I could see you there. Probably beating your chest or something. I don't know. If I could live in one of the areas, I would probably want to live in DK Jungle. Seems very nice. Good quality of life there.
Very tropical.
Yeah.
Makes sense. You live in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. They're probably a little buggy in DK Jungle. The mosquito issue there is probably out of control. But
yeah, maybe it is a video game, so maybe not.
True. Maybe not. Yeah. Or maybe just all the Donkey Kongs eat them. I don't know. Maybe they.
I know nothing about the diet of a Kong.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm going to plead ignorance in this situation. What Mario game were you most excited to see played out on screen?
Ooh, on screen? I will say the kart stuff. I was really excited to see that. And some of the other stuff ended up being my favorite, though.
Okay. And does this rank in your top 5 favorite animated movies?
Of all time?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh, this genre of animated movie, the children-focused animated big screen releases.
I'd say probably not. I had a lot of fun, but probably not in my top. It's maybe in my top 25, but not in my top 5.
You have 24 children's animated movies that you enjoyed more than Super Mario?
I mean, if we just start listing, if I'm thinking like Mulan, Toy Story, Lion King, Wreck-It Ralph, what's the How to Train Your Dragon, there's a lot. Coco,
okay.
Moana, yeah.
And you're rating all of them above Super Mario?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think because there's a little bit more depth to them. And I don't think that's a criticism of Super Mario, because that's not what it needed to be for this first one. But some of those strike a little bit more of an emotional chord, or I have childhood attachments to. And obviously we have childhood attachments to Mario, but being 7 years old and watching Hercules, is gonna resonate with me more than
Fair.
Super Mario.
Fair enough.
Is this in your top 5 or 10 animated movies?
Probably not, but I read your notes and it seemed
Yeah.
like you were pretty high on it, so I thought it might be.
Oh no, yeah. No, yeah.
If you exclude Disney, it probably is.
There's some competition, yeah. I mean, it looks amazing. We'll talk about that, but it's just a really great look. I mean, Illumination Studios as a whole did really well, which maybe is a good segue into them kind of getting the relationship here with some background on the adaptation.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, we talked about how they steered clear of any movie adaptation since '93, did not work out, which is kind of crazy to think that, that was a live action movie. It's just so it's so strange.
Talk about the worst way to do Mario.
I know.
Is live action with really bad accents.
Yeah, and it's not like
D-list actors.
Hey, John Leguizamo, I love him. But he was not an A-list actor then for sure. But I'd say he's not even an A-list actor now, but I like him a lot. But yeah, they steered well clear of doing anything. And from what I can sleuth, Nintendo, they've gotten real into bed with Universal over the past 10 years with the starting of building out the Super Mario worlds in the Universal theme parks, starting in Japan. They've come to the US. I think it's already live in the California Universal, and the new park that's being built in Orlando, Epic Universe, is going to have a Super Mario Land. So they're very in bed. Yeah, I'm pumped. Very in bed with Universal these days. And Universal, I don't know if they own Illumination Studios. I think they do. And Illumination is known for the Despicable Me franchise. It's probably the biggest one everybody knows. But they earned the trust of the main creator, I would say, Shigeru Miyamoto, behind the Mario franchise. And they formed a partnership, and it was announced in 2018 that Illumination and Universal would be putting out the Super Mario movie, working with Shigeru Miyamoto. They picked Aaron Horvath, who, to me, never heard of him in my life, to direct this movie. He did it. I mean, I've heard of the show Teen Titans, but I have no idea what it is. I think it's just like I think it's a children's show. I'm not entirely sure. Matthew Fogel came on as screenwriter, and they were, think back, 2018, it's what was 5 years then it took to come out, because this came out last year in 2023. I'm sure slowed a little bit by COVID, but they really took their time with making this. And if I think about kind of the development of this movie, I think the biggest piece of the development was the casting announcements. And I remember a lot of the backlash when Chris Pratt was announced. But the first thing I kind of want to know from you, because you said you didn't watch this until recently, when did you know that they were making this into a movie? Was it kind of the time of like the trailers, or like when it was coming out?
Probably.
Yeah.
I feel like I must have known about it when it was coming out, but I had completely forgotten about it by the time we decided to do it for this episode. And I was like, I need to go figure out how I'm going to watch that.
Yeah. It's on Netflix now.
Yeah, that's exactly where I watched it.
Yeah. But yeah, it took the time of the development, a lot of backlash from casting. I think people were very skeptical, and the trailer came out, and I think it kind of created a more positive buzz than people's initial expectations were set at. There was a lot of fear going into it, and this movie was huge last year. Like, if Barbenheimer did not happen, this probably would have been the top grossing movie of 2023. And we'll get into the numbers, and stuff like that. But this was massive. And, people were pretty happy that I think they kept the plot pretty streamlined. Maybe, do you want to give us a little bit of what this plot contained here? I know you probably need 30 minutes for this to go through the nuances.
It's kind of what you said earlier.
Yeah.
There's two plumbers Mario and Luigi, who live and work in Brooklyn. They go through a pipe and get sucked into the Mushroom Kingdom, and they help Peach and Toad take on Bowser as he attempts to take over the world and make Peach marry him.
Yeah. Mario is just consistently trying to get the girl. I wonder where that stacks in his motivations for saving the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, I wonder what his like moral scale is, like if he actually cares about anything going on, or if Mario's just trying to get laid.
I think he just wants, the American dream, a family, a plumbing business.
Yeah. Some little toads.
To hang out with his brother.
Yeah. The American dream, a plumbing business, hang out with his brother. So you recently watched this.
Yeah.
What'd you think? High level.
Loved it.
Yeah.
High level.
Enjoyable.
I had so much fun with this movie. I didn't know that they were going to, and this is one of my best casting decisions, but I didn't know that they were best adaptations. I didn't know they were going to cover all of the games.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be Super Mario 64 in like movie form.
Yeah.
But to incorporate, I mean, you had like Diddy Kong in there, you had Mario Kart, you had Super Smash Bros, you had Mario 64. I mean, it was, like you said, they just played the hits and it really hit for me.
It worked.
Yeah. It didn't try to do too much on a plot level. Yeah. The movie was only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in and out and it's fun. And I thought the cast was great.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
I mean, a 90-minute movie these days is an anomaly. And it's just so nice to watch a short movie that was good.
Yeah.
Like
where there's like a very singular plot,
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't get cute with it. I just gotta know too, like, because when we saw this, the movie starts with kind of the Nintendo chime, and then you see like the old school, like, Mario and Luigi in the, their NES 8-bit forms, like running across. It just had like the definition of a stupid grin on my face. Was it the same way for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how much of what I laughed at was actually funny versus it was just like making me feel like a kid again. So things that shouldn't have been funny were funny.
Yeah. It was just like, childish giggles the whole time.
Yeah.
Just like having so much fun. Yeah, it was great. We did see it in theaters, and this was a bit of a change. Obviously I'm a huge proponent on this podcast of movie theaters. But
you?
Yeah.
No.
I know.
Who would have thought?
But prior to this, I was not going to the movies a lot. I mean, we were talking about 2014, 2022. We were both starting to we were getting into our career. I wasn't going to the movies. And then in 2020 through 2023, I think I saw Dune in theaters and Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think that might have been it. And then this movie came out last year. And this is when we first got our movie pass, because we went and we saw this. We had some popcorn. We see this Nintendo music. I had a glass of wine that probably influenced me buying a movie membership. And just had a blast. It was just so much fun. And, you talked about the 90 minutes, which I love. And I think that this movie is the definition that sometimes all you need to hit is a single. You don't got to get cute with it. You don't need to go for the homer. If you're batting ninth in the order and you've never had a hit before, which was Mario in, the big screen format, and they just did it. They just didn't get fancy with it, and they just made a great, simple, fun movie.
I'm going to really labor this baseball metaphor you've got going on, but they found a gap because this was more than a single. They took extra bases here.
That's the thing. They were this pinch hitter who came up, and you're just like, please put it in play. Please. Just do not go down swinging or looking. And you're like, just get it on the ground anywhere. And they hit a triple.
Get the next guy up.
And they just stroke it into the alley and get a triple. Just We can end the metaphor now, but they really did that. It was just so much fun. I haven't met anyone who's watched this, and I mean, obviously, some people said like, "Oh, yes, obviously, it's like very simple. This is not Citizen Kane here." But I haven't met anyone who was like, "Oh, that was bad." We had an awful time watching that.
Yeah.
Just like generally
I would
positive.
question their judgment if they said that to me.
Like if you don't have fun with this, you don't have a heart. We mentioned the Chris Pratt resistance, so this is probably a good time to switch into casting and performances. And I'll tee up the Chris Pratt with, there was so much resistance to this initially because Chris Pratt, I don't know Chris Pratt's ancestry, but not an Italian American does not sound Italian American. And people really wanted, at least I think some real OG Mario fans really wanted the voice of Mario to do this and to sound like Mario doing his, woohoos the whole time. And did this occur to you? Like, were you sad that he sounded like kind of just a normal guy?
No, I didn't think twice about it. I mean, he sounded like he's from Brooklyn. I'll give him that.
That's true. Yeah.
In terms of using the original voice, I don't really know Charles' history other than he's the voice of Mario.
Yeah.
But when you're making a movie like this, you have to consider who you're casting in the leading role. Like, can they carry a film? Can they carry a franchise potentially? Are they a good enough actor to portray the emotions that you want Mario to have on screen? Because you're not just getting the wow 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 with the guy. Like, you need to have like real feelings that are portrayed. So maybe all of those things were considered and Charles just didn't have what it takes. Maybe he did. I don't know. But thinking about it through that lens, I don't see Chris Pratt being a bad choice. Especially because of the star power. If I say, "Oh, I've got this new Chris Pratt movie," you're going to get people that are going to see it just because Chris Pratt are in it. Same with some of the other characters: Anya Taylor-Joy, Charlie Day, etc. Keegan, right? Keegan was in it.
Keegan-Michael Key,
yeah, he was in it. Jack Black, another name that carries it. You know who doesn't make me go see a movie? Charles Martinet.
Yeah, he was in it.
Like, oh, cool. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was a bad choice either, but he's not going to make me go to the movie theater to see a movie that he's in.
Yeah. I mean, and this is no shade at Charles, because obviously like the sounds of Mario are my childhood. No. But I agree with you in that this isn't my original thought. Many people have said this as well, but like I wouldn't have wanted 90 minutes of like wahoos and like all of the typical Mario noises. And I was originally like, is Chris Pratt the right person for this? Could we just get like a true voice actor? But I was pleasantly surprised with how he did. Like I had zero complaints. Like it worked for me. I thought the Mario voice was fine. I liked the idea that it was just kind of like a Brooklyn, kind of Brooklyn-ish accent happening through the whole time. For me, he did great.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Another big one for me, Charlie Day as Luigi.
Inspired casting.
It's the perfect way to put it. Because when you're talking about the screw-up type character or the, I don't want to say small character, not in like terms of the role, but like someone who needs to come out of their shell, someone who's a little bit nervous. Charlie Day's done that a few times in his career, and he nailed it. And when you hear that voice as Luigi, it puts you into that mindset of, okay, this is the type of character Luigi is.
Yeah.
And it builds that credibility with the character.
Yeah, it's just one of those castings where it makes so much sense after it's announced. And I remember when the first trailer came out and you heard Charlie Day coming out of Luigi's body, and you're just like, this makes so much sense. Charlie Day is Luigi.
Yeah.
like, and also like the making Luigi kind of like the bumbling brother, and like, having like being some of the like the comedic, aspects that Mario's trying to protect. it just like makes so much sense. Like it was like,
It does.
it makes so much sense. And like I never even thought about it, but it really works. He was so good. Like just the perfect Luigi voice. Like just kind of, I don't know. I don't even know how I would describe Charlie Day's voice, but whatever it is, it's perfect.
It's Luigi.
It's Luigi. Yeah. Keegan-Michael Key, Toad.
Hysterical. He's so funny in everything he does.
Yeah.
Perfect casting.
I don't know what it was. Like, it just tickled my funny bone in the right way in this movie. Just everything Toad was doing. Like, when they first land in the Mushroom Kingdom and he's like screaming at Mario to like, no, don't eat that mushroom. Oh, no, that one's fine. like, I don't know what, like, it's just so dumb, but it's just like so funny for me. And his voice as well, the same as Charlie Day, where I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how Toad would sound. Yeah, it was just good stuff.
And we got to talk about Jack Black.
Unbelievable.
Peaches.
Iconic. Just truly great stuff. Peaches stole the show alone. But he's another one where you're like, yeah, Jack Black kind of looks like Bowser in real life. Like, kind of hairy, big, just kind of like gruff voice. But also the fact that like they made Bowser into more of this guy who's just like wants to maybe wrongly take Peach away and marry her, but is just like hopelessly in love with her. It was just such a fun twist on what you would expect the Bowser to be instead of like truly villainous. Just hilarious.
Yeah. The last one I wanted to touch on was Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
Especially the way they portrayed Donkey Kong of like this goofy dude with dancing pecs trying to make his dad, like, get his dad's approval. I think that was a good cast as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Donkey Kong being a little bit insecure for needing his approval and having a little bit of vanity to him also just makes so much sense. Yeah, I like that. I like Seth Rogen. I've realized reading some reviews of this, talking to other people, that, and I get it, some people just aren't Seth Rogen people, and I think they're like, they get annoyed with like his like consistent laugh he does. Like, I'm not even gonna do like that. His little like weed choke
Do it
laugh.
Again? Do it again, Randy.
No. So some people just don't like him, and we're like, why are we casting him? But it worked for me.
I liked it.
I liked him as Donkey Kong. The only casting that didn't work for me, and it was such a minor role that it was fine, was who was Cranky Kong? What was his name? Fred Armisen? Is that his name? Yeah, Fred Armisen. Cranky Kong just didn't sound like what I thought. I don't know. It just, that voice acting just didn't land for me. And
really?
Yeah, not like a massive thing. I don't know. Just the vibe of Cranky in this movie just didn't land. And maybe that's because I would say I'm almost a bigger Donkey Kong like game fan than Mario game. Okay. Like Donkey Kong Country, love that game. All three of them. And Cranky, I don't know, just didn't. Fred Armisen as Cranky just didn't land for me. But having one miss out of a cast of hits was fine.
Yeah, it didn't miss for me. It wasn't my standout performance, but it did. I liked it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah. How'd you feel about? I know you're an Anya Taylor-Joy stan. How'd you feel about her as Peach?
12 out of 10. What do you mean? It's perfect.
Yeah,
could not have been any better.
Yeah, she also like kind of looks like Peach a little bit.
She has blonde hair, dude. That's the only similarity.
I think what it was is for the premiere, she wore like Peach's like motorcycle outfit on the red carpet, and she had. I mean, her hair is. I don't know. I assume it's not as blonde as Peach's, but during this, she had it as like the very platinum blonde.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, looked very peachy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it.
But that's probably not her natural hair color. But you like see her in that outfit and you're like, yeah, that's Peach. Like if they were to do a live action, looks exactly like what I would expect.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You want to give me some nominees for best casting?
Yeah, you want to give me your score first, and we'll do the scores, and then I'll hit you with best.
You're right. We did not score this. This is a 4 out of 5 for me. It's
same, exact same.
I mean, exceeded expectations. I don't know what else to say about. We've talked about it. Through the top. Nearly everyone hit for me. From Ed Armstrong, it was a minor role, so it's not that big of a deal. It didn't work for me. I think the only thing, they obviously just use stars in here to get people to the movie, have recognizable names, but I thought they did a good job. Would I like to see, other voice actors get a chance to do this? That would have been cool, but they were great and exceeded everything I could have wanted it to be. 4 out of 5.
I couldn't agree more. So your nominees for best casting are Anya Taylor-Joy, Jack Black, Keegan-Michael Key, Charlie Day.
It's got to be Jack Black, right?
It's your award to give. You're watching to give out, man.
I mean, I just need the validation of agreement. This has got to be Jack Black.
I don't know how you pick anybody but Anya Taylor-Joy in any movie she's ever been in ever, but whatever.
Yeah, I will say Keegan-Michael Key was kind of just comes in for a bit and is just lights out in every scene he's got for me and is cracking me up. So my heart is with Toad, but how do you go against Jack Black in this movie? I think he was the true standout.
I agree.
Yeah. Should we talk about the deep and intense plot of the Super Mario Bros. Movie?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. How do you think they did here?
Fantastic. This is probably my highest category. I think the best adaptation choices I have are having Mario be from Brooklyn, like the real world, and get sucked into the Super Mario world.
Yeah.
I think that they kept the movie short and sweet with a nice plot, and they hit all the major games. There was a little bit for, no matter which one you enjoyed the most, there was a little bit in there for you. I thought those were fantastic points. And just all the little, not like Easter eggs, but all the little nods to the source material. The Peach scene with the training montage, learning how to do a video game. That's really funny to me.
I'm really disappointed that you did not use the word hoot just now, because in our notes you said the Peach tutorial scene was a hoot with the training montage, and I was like, this is the perfect use of the word hoot. It was a hoot.
I brought it back. I'll give it to you. The Peach tutorial training scene was a hoot.
It was amazing.
Montage, it was cracking me up. The pipes were annoying for Mario to navigate, and that's exactly how I felt playing the games.
Yeah, him trying to get up to the castle and picking all the wrong pipes and then just being exhausted by the time he gets there. So relatable when you're trying to find the right pipe to go down in a game and you're like, Jesus Christ. And especially in the older games where you have to navigate through the pipes to advance in some of the levels. I'm just like, God damn it, what is the right way to go? So good.
And then you get the toads punching up on the coins.
Yeah.
Or punching up on the bricks to get the coins. I mean, it was so many things like that were incorporated into this game or into this movie that I think it just really hit a lot of spots for me. I also found it hysterical that they made Mario not like mushrooms.
Yeah, it was very funny.
That had me dying.
Just a few quirks because you would expect if someone like me were writing this movie, a casting note would be, you really got to emphasize how much Mario likes mushrooms. And it's so much funnier that he doesn't like mushrooms. It's just, stuff like that, like them actually being plumbers and, even having the commercial where they're doing the Super Mario Bros. Rap from the 90s TV, just so much fun stuff they brought into this. It's just chock full of great stuff. Did you think, I had a question here for you, which I think we know the answer, is do you think they played it too safe with the story, or was it just right?
It was just right for me.
Yeah.
And I think if they had gotten more aggressive with the story, it would have been a miss. And I think a nice simple plot. Again, we said this like 4 times. A nice simple plot, play the hits. We're in and out, hour and a half, and it makes the movie better by doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the story of this is not gonna blow anyone away. But it's good.
It's not winning Oscars.
No, but there are parts that really work in terms of like having Mario be the older brother and showing them as like baby Mario and baby Luigi and stuff like that. It really does hit some nice chords, and emotional beats throughout. But I think it is a huge plus for this that they didn't try and make this a prestige, movie, or get real cute with it. As you think about some of the best adaptation choices they made, anything come to mind for you?
Nothing that I haven't already said. I think I jumped the gun and got excited with them, but
no, I hear
you. What were yours?
Actually, I have a listener comment here that I want to read. Brian, aka Captain N, from the Retrotopia podcast, who is their retro video game podcast or an authority on probably what we're discussing, says, "It's amazing what a studio can do when they don't stray from the source material. Super Mario Bros. Was a fun time for the whole family with familiar characters and locations. One downside was that the whole movie, Princess Peach was never in any danger. She always had plot armor or an answer for everything. Made the reason for Mario's quest pointless." There's parts of this I agree with, and I actually didn't think about how never in danger Peach was. But I think what I actually really liked was they kind of swapped out Peach and Luigi, where instead of Peach being the damsel in distress and Mario and Luigi rescuing her, Luigi was the one who was kind of cast out. And I think I actually like this for the movie because it added, I think, more comedy and giving Luigi his own story of what's going on over here. And I think it just adds variety to what's going on with the Mario end of things, where Peach and Mario are working together with Toad. And it's kind of more 3 unique characters rather than just Mario and Luigi being together. So I thought that was fun. But it is like, why couldn't Peach just do this on her own without Mario?
She could have.
Yeah, she could have.
But I feel like the story was really Mario saving Luigi.
Yeah.
Peach was there for agency purposes to move the story along.
Yeah. And I think to be, we're in a video game, you just move across the world map to the next area, of, the game. Where in this, you kind of need the character to be like, oh, we need to go to DK Jungle. And like having that be Peach, who lives in the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah. It makes sense. Worst adaptation choice for me. Just no Wario. My guy was just completely just ghosted in this movie. Maybe we'll get him in a sequel, but I just couldn't believe we didn't even get a reference to Wario or Waluigi.
They could be the bad guys in the next 2. You've already taken out Bowser. Now you need a Wario, Waluigi.
That'd be amazing.
They go to Brooklyn, take over Mario and Luigi, throw them into some crazy world. Mario and Luigi have to get out and fight their evil twins.
Yeah. Evil German seeming twins. Yeah. I could be in for it. Yeah, I mean, we know they're going to come in the next one. It's got to happen.
I did have some favorite quotes.
Yeah.
I know I usually don't, but
hit me with the quotes.
Think pretty much everything the Blue Star said, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Time, like hope, is an illusion. In an insane world, it's the sane who are crazy. There's no escape. There's only the sweet relief of death.
Yeah. Yeah, this star comes from some Mario game that was released, I don't know, in the GameCube, Wii, I don't know, maybe even Switch generation. So I don't know what game this star is from, because I didn't really have until the Switch. I didn't have a Nintendo since N64, so I missed a lot of Mario games. But even not knowing what this was like making fun of from the games, it was still hilarious.
Oh my god, just independent, like objectively independently funny.
Yeah. Any nitpicks you had with this?
No, and I'm sure there are a bunch.
Yeah.
But the movie was good enough that I was caught in that zone of enjoyment to where I wasn't nitpicking things.
Yeah, I agree. You want to hear some nominations for best scene?
Oh, hell yeah.
I got 5. Mario enters the Mushroom Kingdom. We'll call this kind of like from when he pops out of the pipe, encounters Toad, and Toad is leading him up to the castle. Like, that scene. The Peach tutorial scene, which you noted was a hoot.
It was a hoot?
Yeah. Bowser singing Peaches. The final fight against Bowser in Brooklyn. And Mario versus Donkey Kong in DK Jungle.
The final fight was a great scene, but I gotta give it to the Peach tutorial scene.
Yeah.
That was
so much fun.
Classic action movie, classic video game, tutorial. Watching Mario just fail and restart over and over was hysterical.
Yeah.
Watching at the end when Peach says that she nailed it on her first try. And it took Mario like days.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I mean, and just like the sheer joy I had when like the block comes out of the water and then it starts separating into the level. And I realized we're just going to have a scene here of Mario running and jumping over like the fire, loop circling and the disappearing blocks, and just like, it's just so good and just totally mirrors the experience of playing this game and repeatedly dying and starting back at the beginning of the level. The scene was just so much fun. Yeah, I agree with that.
It was. I
did really like the Mario DK area. That was a lot of fun. And one that I didn't even bring up in these nominations, which I wasn't sure if you were going to take issue with, was nothing on the kart racing of when they're on Rainbow Road.
When they're on Rainbow, and then he jumps off the side of Rainbow Road to make it a shorter path. That was a great Easter egg. Yeah, what that was.
I mean, once we saw that there was going to be some Rainbow Road in this movie, that was an immediate like, oh, they're going full tilt on the nostalgia. I mean, in the blue shell, using that to just everyone being terrified of it, just so good. I don't think they did any lightning on the Mario Kart scenes, did they?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, it was mostly just shells, and they incorporated all the bullets.
Yeah.
I think the rocket is from the newer versions of
Bullet Bill, right? Yeah. Score wise, which we didn't get for the plot, I gave us a 3.5. Very good. It's not anything insane from a story plot perspective, but I had a great time with it.
I gave it a 4 again, and I'm looking at it just because of how well they executed the plot they had and the faithfulness to the source material. I thought it was really, from that nostalgia factor, like they really hit those major points, and it really felt like those original games. And because of that, I wanted to give it that extra little bit. Yeah.
No shade at that. World building and aesthetics.
Yes.
How do you feel about this?
I think, again, it's probably going to be a pretty high score. I think they built a really visually exciting world. Like aesthetically.
Looks so good.
It looked so good. And there's so many more places they can go. So from like a world building perspective, you have not only what I'm going to call the real world, but you have all of the different worlds of Mario, and you're not limited to either one. And from a where you can take this standpoint, that opens up a lot of doors. And I think that was a really good decision. Yeah, just aesthetically, it looks so good. But I mean, where does this hit for you?
Yeah, I in terms of the world, I don't think there's a single thing in this movie where I felt like it was not being faithful or nostalgic or reminiscent of what you love about the Mario franchise. They just hit all those so well. The only thing that I like kind of wish they would have had was some, and maybe there is, because this movie is so loaded with Easter eggs that it's even hard to keep track of. Some reference to Mario Party would have been fun. Like seeing
yes.
like a Boo Ghost, and like somehow a star gets stolen from someone, like something to that, and just like a fight ensuing over it in the background, which like we've all been a part of. I was a little sad about that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm just wondering how much of it was A, there's only so much we can put
Only
in.
so much time, yeah.
B, what are we saving for the second movie?
Yeah,
Like, if
totally.
this does
Can't
well.
do everything now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you can have a pretty long Mario Party section.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they'll do something with it in the future. You can tell that the focus of this was Super Mario Bros. Platforming aspects and Mario Kart. And let's really focus on those, which was great. I mean, and I don't know why it didn't occur to me that there would be scenes, like especially I think it's in the intro Brooklyn area, when No Sleep Till Brooklyn hits and Mario and Luigi are running, and it's like doing the side scrolling and they're like jumping and hitting things. Like it just, it was back to that stupid grin. It looked so much fun. Everything you could have wanted. And I never thought that they would do something side scrolling and fun like that. So I thought that was a really great choice. And you said it with the animation. It looks so vibrant, and like all of the lands looked so great. I thought they just did a really good job with this movie.
Yeah, they did.
We had another write-in. Unbuckle from the Unbuckle Comics podcast said, "I'll be honest, I had no interest in this movie. I thought it was going to be a cash grab filled with Easter eggs and a sloppy plot. What we got was a movie filled with Easter eggs and a decent plot, wonderful voice acting, and genuine fun. I should have known not to doubt Illumination Studios when it comes to animated movies, as they may be kings at this point." Were there
high praise?
It is. Any Easter eggs? You know, he referenced those. Any Easter eggs that you particularly loved? I can rattle off a few.
Yeah, start naming a couple. Maybe
I'll give you some of mine. Yeah, I love when they first get up to the castle, and the toads at the castle tell Mario that the princess is in another castle. Like in the first one, we mentioned the Super Mario Brothers rap. In the Mushroom Kingdom, there's an antique shop where someone's buying a NES, and the shop owner tells them that you need to blow in the cartridge to get it to work. And I was just like, we've all been there. Luigi's ringtone when he gets a call for the plumbing job in the beginning of the movie was the GameCube load up chime. So they just had a slew of things like that that I thought were really fun.
I love how those games explicitly say on them, "Do not blow into the cartridge," and that is the only way to get them to work.
We all did.
It's the only way.
Yeah, I even had this little cleaning kit that came. It was almost like with a big Q-tip where you'd like put it with some like rubbing alcohol or something and like to scrape the inside of it. Never used it. Just blow in the cartridge. It'll get the job done. Yeah, I gave this section a 4 out of 5. Looked great. The world building was fun.
Same.
It was just good. Sound. How are you feeling about soundtrack, needle drops, use of sound in this?
Needle drops were fantastic. The two that come to mind are No Sleep Till Brooklyn and Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
Used perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I had so much fun with them. It's also like if you go to any of these artists on Spotify, they're using like the number one song from those artists.
Yeah.
You know, for every example, like Aha, Take On Me, Thunderstruck, Beastie Boys, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. But they just worked in the movie. They were really fun. They made like no sense that like those were the songs happening, but it also like made a lot of sense that those were the songs happening.
I mean, Mario and Luigi had to run to Brooklyn.
Yeah. Yeah. The other two things that I really appreciated with the sound was a lot of iconic sound design that make you recall the video games. Like all the chimes they had at the beginning of the movie, the Nintendo chime coming up, the level up noise, like when you get a mushroom. I think of specifically that platforming scene with Peach in the tutorial when he gets the mushroom for the first time. I loved when Mario gets the raccoon suit, or the cat suit or whatever in the DK scene. That was so much fun. And then we got all the classic music throughout. I think of like the underground level music from the original Super Mario game, like just them working in all those themes were so good. And like we said, then we get some OG tracks like Peaches. So not only are they like playing pop culture hits, they're playing Nintendo hits, and then they're creating new stuff that like works just as well alongside it. They did a really good job.
I'm pretty sure Jack Black said, "I'll do the movie, but I'm writing a song and I'm singing it and you're putting it in." I'm like 90% sure he's done interviews about that. So love that, Jack Black. Yeah.
No, I completely believe it.
So what'd you give it out of 5?
I gave it a 4 out of 5. Again, it was just
4 out of 5.
It's good. Like, I think the only thing that kind of drops it for me is like maybe some more inventive needle drops would have been fun. But they're clearly
they work so well.
But they're just picking songs that everybody knows in a movie that's made for everybody.
Yeah.
What did you give it?
4.5. This is probably one of my favorite uses of sound that we've done.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a really good job here. Legacy standalone appeal. I mean, we'll see what happens here as this kind of goes on, but I mean, this movie did gangbusters. And as I wrote this, I was like, I don't even know what the fuck gangbusters means. Like, where does that come from? No idea. But whatever it is,
add that to our list of words we're gonna
words we need to look up on the spin-off etymology podcast. But as of this year in January, the movie grossed $574 million in the US, 787 outside of the US, for a total of $1.36 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. Making it the highest grossing film based on a video game 1 week into its theatrical run. And it became the first video game adaptation to gross 1 billion worldwide, and becoming the highest grossing film of 2023. Yeah, at the time that was passed by Barbie. So huge movie. And it also took over Minions to become the highest grossing film released by Illumination, which is pretty crazy because those Minions movies, they do a lot of business.
They go gangbusters for them.
They do go gangbusters, whatever that means. But I feel like critical consensus right now, I have no idea. I remember there was, when this initially came out, some critical things were coming out where people were like, what a simple, dumb movie. And people were just like, fuck you. Like, this is not supposed to be an incredibly inventive movie, where I feel like audience-wise, this movie was very well liked.
Yeah.
So as you think about kind of the legacy standalone, what comes to mind for you here?
I mean, as a standalone film, I don't think you need to be familiar with Mario to enjoy this movie. I think it makes it better if you are, but I think it's probably really fun to watch if you've never picked up a Mario game.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to argue with the legacy when it took a cultural phenomenon to beat it at the box office.
Yeah.
I mean,
would have been the highest grossing last year.
To do 1.36 billion on something that's not a Marvel movie right now, or like I said, a cultural phenomenon, it's pretty great, I think. So I'll put it pretty high. I'll probably give it a 4.
Yeah, that's what I gave it.
Potential for more, but they could put out a sequel that kills everything they did here, or they could put out a sequel that makes this a 5.
Yeah,
but I'm excited to see what they do with it from here.
Yeah. Super Dave wrote in from the Treehouse Anime Club and said, I watched this movie in the theater on my birthday. It's a great birthday. I knew from the trailers that every frame was going to be jam-packed with Easter eggs, but this went beyond my even lofty expectations. Found this to be a solid film for all ages, and Jack Black stole the show as Bowser. His voice is practically canon in my head now whenever I go back to the old games with the text dialogue, or the text boxes for dialogue. So what we have here is a solid foundation. I can't wait to see the next film, which there's undoubtedly coming next.
Yeah, you don't do 1.36 billion and not make a follow-up.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with a follow-up. And I know there's already a Zelda movie in the works. People are saying that there's going to be a Nintendo Cinematic Universe. Which I don't know.
That would be awesome.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Ending in Super Smash Bros. Maybe type brawl. Which could be fun, but they're undoubtedly going to follow this up. We'll see. I'm curious to see just like what direction they go with it. They obviously tease some things in the post credits already.
Mm-hmm.
My fiance was very gutted that Yoshi was not in this one, but happy he's teased for the next one. Are you a Yoshi guy?
I'm not a Yoshi guy.
Yeah, I'm not big on Yoshi, but you know, there's flavor.
I did play that Yoshi game when it came out.
Yoshi's Island,
something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be a franchise. Definitely probably going to make a lot more money in the future. I give it a 4 as well. The only other listener comment I'll round out was Big Kid 782 said, this was a great blend of storytelling of a character we know and love and giving enough fan service to make us want to watch again and again to see if there were any Easter eggs we might have missed. It was nice to watch a movie that doesn't require much of the audience other than just sit back and enjoy. I still put this on from time to time and enjoy. Oh, wait, you're asking about the animated movie? It was okay. LOL. So, Big Kid was writing it, I guess, about the 1993 movie that he loved. I think he's definitely kidding. Did you see the 93 movie? It's like impossible to watch now, I think, unless you own it.
I've never seen it. I've seen like clips of it that get posted on like social media, like TikTok and Instagram and stuff. But
yeah, I think the last time I probably saw it was 1998 or something.
Yeah, that's a good comment. Big Kid 782. Yeah. I like that one.
So as you think about who won the movie, who do you have here?
I think ours are going to be pretty similar.
Yeah.
I have Nintendo. I have 3, actually. I know we're only supposed to bring 2. I have 3. Yeah. I have Nintendo, Jack Black, and people that enjoy going to the movie theater.
Which you did not.
I mean, I didn't do it, but I could see where 1.3 billion for a movie is good for people that like to go to the movie theater.
Yeah. A lot of people did. Yeah. I had Jack Black and Nintendo too. I think Jack Black was like the phenomenon coming out of this, what everyone was talking about.
He wrote a song.
He wrote a song for it that worked and was funny. But Nintendo, I mean, to come back to the big screen and have such a win, it's huge. I don't know. What do you think here?
Let's give it to Jack Black.
Yeah, it's got to be.
We'll give Jack 2 watchies today.
Yeah,
he's the third 2 watchie winner, I think.
Yeah. So he won the first and the third. Who won the best scene was the
montage,
the training montage.
The hoot of a training montage.
Scores wise, I wound up with a 19.5. You had a 20.5. So this is a total of 40 out of 50, which, let's see where that puts us after our last stuff. So Fallout, we gave a 41. Obviously Ocean's 11 was a 47. Hunger Games was a 38. Queen's Gambit was a 42. So I feel that's comparable. Yeah. You know, it's not pushing the boundaries like maybe a Fallout did, or even a Dune Part 2, but we liked it better than the Hunger Games, apparently. Yeah, we liked it better than Sherlock Holmes.
Which I'm surprised the Hunger Games didn't at least get a 40.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised.
We might have to go back to that one.
Yeah, we might have to relitigate some of our scores with time.
Yes.
But yeah, no, this is great. Anything else you want to say on the movie before we wrap up here?
No, I think we said it all.
Yeah. I think we definitely recommend it. Like you said, you were I think everyone who watches this is surprised how much they enjoy it. Go check it out. It's free on Netflix right now. I guess everything that's on Netflix is free, as you already pay for it. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're recording this one well in advance in preparation for a busy summer. So I believe what you heard last was House of the Dragon Season 1. And next episode, we're going to be covering 2001: A Space Odyssey. Another one I was unaware was a book until you told me, which this was gifted to you, right?
It was gifted to me by the guests we're going to have on the podcast.
Nice. Looking forward to that one. Did you know this was a book before it was gifted to you? I had no idea.
No, and doing no research, I'm pretty sure what happened is either the movie came out and then the book came out, or the book and movie came out at the same time.
Gotcha. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I still have to read that to get prepped for it, which I'm
It's
excited.
a quick one. It's only like 250 pages.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. That'll be the oldest movie. I mean, outside of the 1960 Ocean's 11, that'll be the oldest main coverage we've done.
Yes.
So that'll be cool. If you have thoughts on Super Mario Bros. Or any of the episodes coming up, you can reach out to us on Instagram at RewatchPlayPodcast. Email us at rewatchplaypod@gmail.com. Find us on all your major platforms, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate and review, 5 stars only. So those things help more people find the show. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks, Nix, for joining me. Till next time, everybody.